So it's finally time for the updated tier list for season 1. I'm pretty sure there's no more balance patches that will be happening until the next season. So it's finally about that time to drop the season 1 tier list, and let's just get straight into it, to be honest. So as you can see, I separated my tier list just like this. I don't really think there's such thing as a bad character in this game, like a terrible character to the point where I need like an extra, like a lower tier. So this is the lowest. I'm gonna go with B tier. We got Aizawa, Kendo, and Compressed. I'm pretty sure most people's tier list looks just like this in terms of who the bottom 3 characters are. I mean, they're all pretty inconsistent. This is literally the inconsistent tier. I think Compressed is the worst character in the game. The only saving grace he has is that he has a good runaway skill, which is his gamma skill. Other than that, I mean, just inconsistent, and he's slow too. Kendo is also inconsistent with her clap hitbox, and her special action just seems kind of useless for the most part. Like, imagine you tossing your teammate away just for her to be stuck left behind. you know what I mean? I just feel like it's pointless. I don't know, it's just me. And then we got Aizawa. Obviously he's a super buggy character right now to the degree, but I put him at the top of B tier because I feel like his mobility is what really saves him. And when he does work, he can actually be super useful in team play. When he does his special action and stuff like that. I think the only thing that really he would need to change maybe is buff his damage a little bit more. But he's a technical, not a strike, so I can see why his damage is a little on the mid side. But anyways, this is pretty much the B tier. Like I said, I take everything into consideration with these characters. So let's go on to the A tier. Now the A tier, which is pretty much the in-game killer tier. Basically what this is, when they all have their skill levels up, I feel like these characters are all menace to society. And I just think in early game these characters just struggle. I think in terms of who don't get their job done that well in the beginning game, obviously Denki can, like, he's just he does a lot of damage regardless of how low his levels is, and that's why I like him. But I feel like this is the perfect tier for these characters. Ibarra's this low because, like I said, I feel like Ibarra, the only thing she lacks is mobility as a character. Everything else is pretty good. Her alpha skill can be a bit inconsistent sometimes, so that can really hurt her. And also, I feel like she's just too stationary in all her skills. Like, the time she throws out an alpha or a beta and she's just standing there, she's holding at least 2 beam shots for like over 100 like in total in damage. And I feel like that really hurts her in the long run. Shigaraki, he does crazy good in endgame when his levels are high enough, especially when he has level 9 alpha. It's really good. It's super good. I just think Shigaraki suffers from like the last circle. It could be very detrimental to his gameplay, and a lot of people could just fly up and stuff like that. But other than that, really good buff they gave to him in the first balance pass was the 2 grabs. It's really good. Other than that, Shigaraki's good. He's just super grounded, I feel like, and that could mess him up. Denki, like I said, I already said what I said about him. I feel like Denki is really great. I just feel like he has no runaway type of skills or defensive skills, so he can get bodied pretty easily if he's left alone for even a few seconds. But him being around his team, he's like super useful because all it takes is for him to shock you and you're probably dead. Dabi, self-explanatory. You already know me. I'm a Dabi main. He got the gamma that can block all projectiles. He has his traps, which Dabi is probably the best thirst killer in the game. And what I mean by thirst killer is that, like, when you're down, he probably kills you the fastest just dropping traps on your body. So yeah, and he also has the auto tracking projectiles, which while he's on, like, when he's with a team and they're all chasing you down, it can be really a pain to deal with. And I know people find Dabi annoying. He's even annoying to chase and can survive a little bit longer due to his skills. Like, it's super defensive. He plays his gameplay very well. Like I said, I just think he lacks damage in the beginning, which can hurt him in chasing people down sometimes. And obviously we got Mount Lady, who is the queen of the last circle, because if she's alive last circle and you're going against that team, depending on where it's at, you're probably gonna lose, not gonna lie to you. But this is my A tier. Time to move on to the next. But real quick, guys, before we get into the next tier list, my organization Valhalla Entertainment has been partnered with RogueEnergy, and if y'all would like a discount, it's Valhalla ENT, link in the description below. It'll be a 10% discount, so make sure you go check that drink out for us. Appreciate it. Now it's time for my A plus tier, and I want to start off with Toga real quick because I'd see a lot of people putting Toga way too high and way too low. I think this is the perfect spot for her. She did get a really good buff, giving her 2 bullets on her beta skill, which is really good for her to run away and stuff like that. Her toolkit alone is pretty solid, nothing too crazy. Now her turning into other people is a good thing and a bad thing, and I'm going to talk about it because I feel like it's a little overrated, or can be overrated. The problem is when you turn into other people, depending on like how high your levels is, you can stay that person, and staying them, if you can't really turn back yourself, I think that is a downside to that. Also, the other team, like the team that you took, like the blood that you took from the other team, literally they can see you on the map and see you through the wall and see your silhouette. So let's say you're in a fight and you turn into one of them and you get hurt, so you go away to heal. They can literally see that you're healing through the wall. If they're close enough, then they can just, spray you up. So I feel like it can be a downside, but it's like super situational. Like that's where I feel like her change abilities is. But a lot of people say just because she can turn into a top tier, she's a top tier, when that's not really the case. It's just super situational, and that's my opinion on her. Momo, she's really good. I don't even think we need to really touch on Momo. She's just really great. I know she received a nerf to her shield because it did need to get toned down, I'm not gonna lie to you, but it still is pretty good. Just have a little longer cooldown. I think it's like 6 seconds longer, I believe. So but she's still really, she's still really solid. We got Cementos, obviously he's such a beast. I'm not gonna lie, this character is one of the most annoying characters to go against, depending on who you have as a character. He just does his job so well, and especially with the insta-res, like covering you up and stuff like that. He's just really good. The only thing he lacks, to be honest, is damage. Deku was one of the characters that I feel like was overrated for a really long time. A lot of people had Deku as top 3 in the game, and I know he had a lot of damage, but I think his beta skill and his gamma skill, which got nerfed, his black whip, I just think they take way too long to recharge, and that's my problem with Deku, and they nerfed him for no reason, to be honest. But yeah, he, like I said, his alpha skill, it charges back really fast, even if after you do the crouch shot, which has a bigger hitbox. I think it has more range, and it does a lot more damage, and it recharges pretty fast. So obviously Deku deserves his spot here. I feel like if he had a faster recharge, or maybe his beta and gamma skill, he'd be S tier. Same thing, Ida, really great character. I know everybody complains about this character. He can be annoying depending on what character you have, but Ida's still really good. I feel like the only thing that what Ida lacks right now is that he isn't a thirst kill character, which means when he downs somebody, it takes a lot for him to like actually kill somebody, and I feel like you'll have less kills overall if you're using this character Ida. So that's like with this tier list here, the A plus is basically the really good solid characters. I feel like they're just missing one thing, and they could easily be S tier. This is what my A plus tier is all about. Now it's time for the King of Kings, the S tier. And now I want to touch on Ochako first, because I feel like people are going to see this and say she's a hot take. Now I know she's a super buggy character. I know her alpha skill does not work and it's inconsistent. I've tried, but I feel like when she does work and when they actually fix this character, I feel like this is where she would be at right here. Her beta skill is probably the most cracked thing in the game. It literally can like gel you to death. Like depending on what character you got, you're probably not going to get out of it, and you're probably going to die. All she has to do is spin her card, hit you 3 times, and if she balances it correctly, what her usage of it, she can just wait for you to get up after your invol frames is over and then do it again, and she just kills you. It's like she's a crazy character. Her gamma skill is not to be slept on. She can use her gamma skill, she can then throw the car at you and then throw it again and then release her gamma skill, so she can combo you and do a lot of damage. Like Ochako is actually really good, really slept on as a character. I know she's buggy, but when she does work and when they fix her, this is where I think she'll be at. Kirishima, this man is a titan, he's a beast. Do we really need to touch on this character? I honestly think the buff they gave him was unnecessary, giving him an extra punch, extra bullet for his beta skill. This character is just too cracked. He does way too much damage. To be honest, he can Oki you on wake up depending on what character you got. He's just a nightmare to go against, especially when there's a whole team coming at you. You're probably gonna die. Like 9 times out of 10, depending on what character you have, when you're in his face, you're probably gonna lose. He beats every character in a one-on-one scenario. Shoto Todoroki, do we need to talk about him? Do we need to talk about him? Let's be honest. Do we really need to talk about this character? His ice slide is probably the most broken thing about him. This man can slide, freeze you, team beam you, you're dead. If he doesn't even have to slide. If you just hold the gamma skill and throw it out, it hits you, and then it's GG's. The only thing that Shoto lacks is that he has no mobility, air mobility, but he literally covers up for that with his crack skills. We have Bakugo, who did receive a nerf to his special action, but only by 2 seconds, which can be a little noticeable depending on the situation, because when I used him recently, I'm like, dude, I'm trying to fly away, but I'm like, I usually have it by now. But he's still a really good character, still a really annoying character. He does really great damage. He can literally shoot you through walls. His howitzer impact is bare minimum, hitting you for 100. It's a bit inconsistent, but it's still, when it hits, it hurts. He has his nades, which has a pretty solid hitbox and does pretty good damage. Like I said, if you're fighting a team, and then let's say it's a 3-on-3, you're fighting a team, Bakugo flies away, and next thing you know, while you're fighting his other 2 teammates, he's coming from behind, beaming you. Pause. But that's why this man is in his number 3 spot. Froppy, number 2. I know she received a nerf, but to be honest, once she gets her levels past, like in the beginning area, like she get it past 4, she's basically the same character. They didn't really touch her that much. She's a beast. She has insta rest for some reason, even though she's a rapid character, which doesn't make any sense. She has the best mobility in the game, pretty much. She can get in and get out. She's just a really annoying character. I don't think we really need to touch on this character. And last but not least, All Might, who's top 1 for me. Now, I know some people don't have him as number 1 for some reason. I mean, if y'all have anything that makes him not top 1, please let me know. But this character has the best toolkit in the game. At least when I use him, and from what I've seen, he's just a beast. His alpha skill is arguably the best projectile in the game. When he's up close, like, he's hitting you guaranteed 2 times before he starts missing. He can also hold it, obviously. He has his Tornado the Gamma skill, which avoids all projectiles and most things in the game, to be honest. And he has 2 special actions, so he can get away and he can backpack res you. Also, and he has his armor skill, which I think it can be a little inconsistent, but it does do a good amount of damage. But All Might just seems like the best character in the game. He can get out, he can get away. Most characters aren't really catching him, and he just has a lot of ways to deal with characters in the game. So yeah, that is my this is the final tier list for season 1. Just gotta wait for Endeavor. I think if y'all need more explanations, we could talk about it in the comments below. But this is the final tier list for season 1 right now. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in another video. No one else we can dream.